Mabuhay! My name is Rama and welcome to my art space, and I'm on another museum tour here in Doha, Qatar. So right now I'm going to visit one of the most popular museums here in the country, and that is the National Museum of Qatar. The National Museum of Qatar is a 430,000 square foot building designed by French architect Jean Nouvel, with the architecture inspired from mineral crystals called the desert rose. The interlocking discs were designed to protect visitors from the heat of the sun. Whoops! Before you go to the museum, make sure to book a ticket first. Make sure to go to the website of the National Museum of Qatar and book your ticket on your selected date. Tickets for tourists costs 50 riyal, that's equivalent to almost $14. But for residents of Qatar and those with QID, it's free! Wow. To get to the museum, take the Metro Rail train on the Yellow Line and alight at the National Museum station. Turn to the exit leading to the NMOQ, and right outside is the museum. The NMOQ has 11 exhibits that showcases Qatar's history chronologically, starting at the beginning of time. Accompanying the life-size models of these animals are audiovisual presentations on the walls. To get to know Qatar's insects a little better, there's a microscope that gives us a better view of what they are. There are also interactive games that helps you get to know some of Qatar's endemic species. I think these are designed for kids, but even adults can participate if they want to have fun. After getting a glimpse of Qatar's natural habitat and various animal species, the museum also features thousands of artifacts and archaeological findings dating from thousands of years ago. This section consists of models of archaeological sites. These findings indicate the beginnings of the Qatari civilization. Just like our forefathers in the Philippines, people in the Middle East also traded with other nations, going as far as Indonesia and China. There are also interactive platforms that give visitors a deeper look into the trading history of Qatar. I got to know a little bit of the Qatari way of living, both on the coast and the inland desert. I also learned a little bit about the plants they have used and grown as food and medicine. The museum does not only exhibit artifacts of tools that people have used long ago, but they are accompanied by featured films that carry the theme of the exhibit. I love this experience. It's like watching in theaters. As I went through the exhibits, I saw how the history and the culture of Qatar evolved through its clothes, accessories, weaving, and family emblems called wasams that were used to mark ownership. The development of their history could be seen in their books and architecture. As well as everyday items such as lamps. One of the things I've learned about Qatar was that it used to be a pearling industry center before it became one of the biggest international oil giants as we know today. Pearls were widely used in their accessories before its industry declined in the early 1900s. One of the finest collections in the museum is the Baroda carpet, which was known as the most luxurious carpet in the 18th century because it was studded with thousands of pearls. One interactive game lets visitors experience how it was to be a pearl hunter during those times. Pearl divers have to row the boat to the middle of the ocean to find a good harvesting spot. I tried the front oar, but it was too tiring taking myself alone on camera. While its culture flourished, Qatar also faced opposition, conflicts, and other troubles as a nation. Still it thrived under the ruling Al Thani family, which is now being led by its current emir, Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani. Qatar's oil industry expanded after its first oil reserves were discovered in the late 1930s. The country caught up with the modernization of technology in the 20th century, and the city of Doha grew through the decades. The permanent exhibit also included the latest events in history, including the blockade against Qatar. This was a time when the country's borders were blocked amid a diplomatic crisis between Qatar and its neighboring Arab League nations between 2017 and 2021. My ticket also included temporary exhibits that were open during that time. One of them was an exhibit entitled Your Brain to Me, My Brain to You by Swiss artist Pipilotti Wrist. This exhibit was open until April 30, 2024. Another temporary exhibit was the sneak peek into the Qatar Auto Museum, which featured a 1963 Ferrari 250 GTO, the 1939 Pontiac Plexiglas Deluxe 6, which was known as the Ghost Car, and the Delahaye 175S Roadster. The museum also retained and restored Qatar's Old Palace, which was the former residence of the Al Thani emirs during the early 20th century. Roaming around this section of the museum was like going back in time, and I loved that I was able to see the authenticity of Middle Eastern architecture in these buildings. I finished the museum tour in nearly 3 hours because there were so many to see and I stayed for a while to watch the films. I enjoyed my experience at the NMOQ and I'm looking forward to go back here again when given the chance. Since it was already hot, the museum has free buggy rides back to the Metro Rail station.
So it's an overwhelming experience because I had sensory overload again. Like I wanted to drink in every information that I see in the museum, and yet there's so many. It's like imagine that you travel from the beginning of time until the present day, and that's like more than 1,000 years. But I really enjoyed this museum, and I also enjoy the extra museums like the visual arts one, and also the sneak peek at the Qatar Auto Museum. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me in this video, and if you like this video, please click the like button, and if you're here in my channel for the first time, do subscribe and also click the bell button so you'll be notified of future videos. Again, my name is Rema, and thank you very much for joining me here in my art space, and I hope to see you again in the next. Bye!